I have wondered this over my life. The selfish thing for God to do would be to hoard his goodness and his perfection and his love, right? I mean, that would be the selfish thing. It would be to keep that to himself, to the Trinity, and to not share it with his creation. That would be a really selfish thing to do. But if he wanted people to experience the goodness of who he is and the perfection of his grace and his mercy and his love and his justice, and if he wanted to share that with his creation, he would communicate to them, you should worship me because that is going to be the most fulfilling thing you can do as my creation. So actually, believe it or not, it is a humble thing for God to do, because we have a misunderstanding of humility a lot of times in our culture. One of the things that we think humility is thinking lowly of ourselves. And that's not what humility is. Humility is actually thinking accurately of ourselves without a will to lord it over others. In other words, like LeBron James says, I am the best basketball player in the world. That could both be prideful and humble, depending on what he does with that statement. Because if it is true that he is the best basketball player in the world, how he lives his life in the midst of that truth will inform us whether or not he is being humble with that statement. It is not the statement in and of itself that is humble or not humble. Just like God saying, I am the Lord Almighty, I am perfect and just, and I will grant you grace and mercy and love and truth, but I also hold you to justice. And God saying that is not prideful. If I said that, that would be prideful and arrogant. But God saying that, it depends on what he does with it. And instead of hoarding it and keeping that to himself and then punishing humanity, what he does is he steps down into humanity and offers himself. What kind of king would do that sort of thing? Be able to step off his throne and live amongst the people that he cares, loves about, and give them an opportunity to join in his kingdom leadership. In Romans, we learn that we are co-heirs with Christ. That means we are invited into the relationship within the Trinity himself. I mean, that's mind-blowing. That's mind-boggling. That God, the perfect God of the universe, would invite us into relationship within and in and of himself. And that is the mark of humility to a T, and the definition thereof. God is saying what is true about himself. It's an accurate depiction about himself, but he is not using it to lord it over us. He's using it to invite us into his presence. There are conditions for that. And it's to recognize his holiness and his truth and to believe that he did step off of his throne. I mean, think about this. If the king stepped off his throne and went to you and said, hi, I'm the king, and you said, no, you're not, I mean, it would not be humble, or it would not be just for him to invite you into his palace, right? Because you have responded and said, I don't believe you're the king. Well, then why should I suffer this? But if you say, wow, I can't believe you came down here to talk to me. I'm so honored that the king would come and talk to me. And he extends an invitation into his palace and into his throne room. That there is a humble and perfect king.